sitting down talking, and all of a sudden we just heard some gunshots.
Everybody is in danger. Everybody within this block, between 2nd and 3rd, is in danger right now.
It was just rapid fire, 20, 30 shots at least, instantaneously.
In the murder capital of the country, neighborhood streets can be tough, mean, and oftentimes stained with blood.
They just need to get the job done. Just get them out the city.
Some people subjectify that and make that seem as if that's all we live for, but no.
All the snitches that I know ended up with a bullet in their head.
In January or February of 2011, former NOPD detective Evan Cox would investigate an open-air drug market operating at the intersection of 2nd and Prayer. For approximately 2 months, Cox would hide in the attic of an abandoned residence located 1.5 blocks from the targeted area. In the course of his investigation, Cox would take more than 2,000 photographs documenting the street-level dealers and the identities of the dudes off 3 and G. In 2012, Cox would be transferred to the Multi-Task Force Agency Gang Unit.
The last few years, the task force has made nearly 300 federal arrests and taken more than 150 firearms off the streets.
Working with members of the FBI, the DEA, and the ATF.
FBI Director Christopher Wray was in town from Washington, D.C., here at the New Orleans FBI field office. He says that recently some resources were shifted around, so here at the New Orleans field office, they would get more federal agents. And that is just one of the moves that's part of a plan to work with local law enforcement on violent crime.
By this time, Cox also learned that Black was rocking with the dudes off 3 and G. Interviewers with witnesses and Vicks in conjunction with the use of social media and debriefing of suspects would assist Cox with identifying the dudes off of 3 and G by their given names as well as their street names. Cox would identify 2nd and Prayer along with an apartment in the 3200 block of 2nd Street, one of the spots where their work was being pumped. The NOPD would recover several firearms, a bulletproof vest along with that hard and Doochie at the trap house. The 2-month surveillance would allow them dicks to hack up dope fiends copying on the set. Cox would further testify that Black became a target of the investigation in 2012 after Black was alleged to have been involved in numerous murders. The entire city knew that a murderous war existed between rivals 3 and G and Front of Town, aka FTG, Front of Town Gangsters, aka FTK, Front of Town Killers, names that the feds would use to hit them boys with being tagged as a gang. It wouldn't be long before Black would begin to establish himself as a big dog of 3 and G. In September of 2002, the NOPD would respond to a homicide in the 3300 block of Thalia. There they would find the victim, Alex Williams, aka Slam, riddled with bullets, face down with several 9mm casings surrounding his body. James Davis would testify that he witnessed the September of 2002 shooting of Slam from 6 to 8 feet away, going on to say that he observed a black truck pull up in the driveway. A black male dressed in all black hopped out the truck and shot Slam 5 or 6 times. When Slam fell, the shooter stood over him and shot Slam 3 or 4 more times. About 3 days after the shooting, James Davis would give a statement in which he would point Black out as the shooter from a photographic lineup. An NOPD sergeant was dispatched to investigate a shooting in the 3300 block of Thalia Street in September of 2002. The NOPD sergeant that was dispatched to the shooting in the 3300 block of Thalia Street would observe a red Chevrolet Malibu speeding from the direction of the shooting. The Malibu will be pulled over approximately 1 mile from the scene. Dalton Bennett, aka Rocky, was the driver of the Malibu while Black was in the passenger seat. The sergeant would radio in advising the NOPD Homicide Division that Black was dressed in all black, matching the description of the shooter. The murder of Slam would elevate Black's status with 3NG. In a 30-count state racketeering indictment charging 20 men, Orleans Parish prosecutors would accuse members of the Central City Street Gang, 3NG, of murdering 10 people, including Kiara Holmes and Renetta Lowe, a.k.a. Magnolia Shorty.
One day after the WDSU I-Team broke the story about another sweeping gang indictment in just over a month, the district attorney and the NOPD are speaking out.
Last month, 15 members of the One Tenors gang were charged in a racketeering indictment involving guns, drugs, and murder. Today, similar charges against 20 men with the 3NG gang, also based uptown. 2 men are still on the run, however, Kentrell Hickerson and Kevin Lynch. WDSU anchor Rachel Wolf tells us more about the DA's plans and what public defenders are saying about the case.
We will use every weapon in our arsenal to bring them to justice.
Orleans Parish District Attorney Leon Canizero was firm as he described a 30-count racketeering indictment against 20 men in the 3NG gang. He says the group conspired to distribute illegal drugs and used violence to gain and maintain control over the area where it operated near 3rd Street in South Galvez.
They don't show any breaks to the people of this community. We're going to give them no breaks either.
Authorities say the 3NG gang is responsible for at least 10 murders in the last 5 years, including little Kiara Holmes, killed during a drive-by just before her 2nd birthday in late 2011.
Another baby killed at the ruthless, reckless, cowardly behavior of these gangs. The people of New Orleans has said enough is enough.
This indictment is the 4th indictment stemming from the multi-agency gang unit.
While these cases are more difficult to investigate and prosecute, it allows us to present the whole story to the jury so that they can see the consequences of a pattern of activity rather than looking at a single crime.
Getting these cases to court could prove complex, though, because defendants in each case will be tried together, and every defendant needs their own attorney.
And our office actually is conflicted from representing any of those 15 individuals because we either previously represented some of them or currently represent some of them or represent some of the witnesses who have to be testifying in those cases.
Another possible problem after budget cuts and attrition, there are only 41 public defenders for criminal district court, and that's about a dozen less than last year.
Get ready, because this is what we see to be a very successful sort of prosecution.
On your side in Orleans Parish, Rachel Wolf, WDSU News.
Since the gang unit was formed, Canizero says in state court alone there have been indictments against 35 defendants for 81 different counts and 26 murders.
To protect a drug dealing business that dated back to at least 2005. Pumping in the area surrounding the intersection of 3rd and Galvez, 3NG would leave a wide trail of deadly violence in its path. According to Orleans Parish District Attorney Leon the Snake Canizero's office, the dudes of 3NG were responsible for the following. Kentrell Black Hickerson allegedly fatally shot 23-year-old Darrell Duke Pooler on October 5th of 2008. Quincy QP Briggs allegedly killed Omar Brew on March 15th of 2009. Jared Pablo Johnson allegedly shot and killed Tremaine Posey on August 24th of 2010. Posey was gunned down at the corner of Thalia and South Roman Streets. McCoy Rat Walker and members of the 39ers killed Jerome Madman Hampton and Renetta Lowe.
I think that there's no value right now for life.
WDSU sources confirmed tonight that one of the victims of a double murder in broad daylight earlier today was indeed a popular local rapper. Fans are turning to the internet to mourn the loss of the 2nd female rapper to sign on with Cash Money Records, a national label that began here in the Crescent City. WDSU anchor Rachel Wolf spoke with a local radio DJ who knew Magnolia Shorty personally and professionally. Rachel?
Magnolia Shorty, born Renetta Lowe, got her stage name from the late rapper Magnolia Slim, who was also from the Magnolia housing development. The rapper, known as the Queen of Bounce, was discovered by Brian Birdman Williams and came onto the music scene in the 1990s. The 28-year-old's most recent project included a collaboration with New Orleans high school student Courtney Hart. This song, My Boy, helped the teen land a record deal with Jive Records. Local DJ Wild Wayne says these collaborations were Magnolia Shorty's specialty. He doubts she was the intended target when she was shot and killed. She and an unidentified male were gunned down around 12:30 Monday in the Georgetown apartment complex on Morrison Road.
And to hear that she lost her life to this senseless violence that seems to be cyclical in this city. You know, you kind of would think after Katrina, kind of had a clean slate per se, and maybe people would maybe realize the value of life, and it still is happening. Kind of reminiscent of the Messi Maya case, which recently happened. There's going to be a lot of attention to this thing, and already if you look at social media, there's tons of comments on it, whether it be Twitter or Facebook or whatever. I don't think this case will take long to get solved, but it's just sad that it had to happen.
Websites have actually crashed tonight because fans have been uploading pictures and posting messages in honor of Magnolia Shorty.
Ronell Neleone allegedly fatally shot Floyd Moore on April the 28th of 2011 in the 1100 block of South Johnson Street in the B.W. Cooper. More than 100 shots were fired when Moore was slain. Washington Big Wash McCaskill allegedly fatally shot Lester Foster on November the 23rd of 2011 in the 3200 block of 2nd Street. Tyrone T-Bone Knockham and Terrius T. Red Oney allegedly shot and killed Kiara Holmes and wounded Emmett Allen in the B.W. Cooper Housing Project on December the 18th of 2011, which will later be found to be done by someone else. Knockham was indicted on charges of second-degree murder and attempted second-degree murder in April of 2012. Ricky Chanu was killed in the 2200 block of South Pier Street on September the 17th. Darius Smooth Knox allegedly fatally shot Carl Anthony May 24th in the 2500 block of South Galvin Street on February the 17th and bragged about it. The deaths of Moore, Foster, Holmes, Allen, Chanu, and May will be listed in the indictment as overt acts. The rest are wrapped into the indictment in allegations of furtherance of an enterprise. Other defendants listed in the indictments were Damian A.D. Barnes, Alfred L. Clay, Christopher Chris Collins, Demetrius Mimi Robinson, Kevin Weefers Lynch, Lonnie Rilla Ingram, Renee Butcher Knockham, Tadaro T. Darrow Keller, Dwight D. White Bush, Chris Boogie McCann, and Rico Freaky Jackson. In December of 2011, Kendrick Rodney, aka Lil Man, was sentenced to 30 years in federal prison for selling that hard, as well as planning to distribute that brown and that white. The feds began investigating Lil at the request of the NOPD. Lil, who had an extensive arrest history at the time, had been previously convicted by the feds in Texas with an intent to distribute charge. The feds will label Lil as the main supplier to the dudes off 3NG. In December 2010, Vanquil Miller received 25 years in prison. Associates of his, brothers Dalton and Lance Bennett, would get life sentences. The feds would conclude that the 3NG's rivalry with another clique prompted the shooting on Mardi Gras of 2009, in which 7 bystanders were wounded along the St. Charles Avenue parade route.
We had about 20 NOPD officers who were assigned to the immediate area from Calliope Street to Thalia Street, and the Office of Homeland Security had surveillance cameras right there at the intersection of St. Charles and Erato Street. Our officers were on the scene and responded really quickly to this incident. They observed a black male wearing a black and white hooded sweatshirt running from the area.
6 years earlier, a similar rivalry was sparked. The infamous car wash shooting captured on surveillance cameras in the 1900 block of Louisiana Avenue. Black was acquitted of a charge that he murdered Elwin Wilson on June 29th of 2008. Boogie would get caught with the blicky used in the homicide. Boogie would be the first of 19 people to plead guilty in the racketeering indictment that named the dudes off 3NG. Boogie will plead guilty in 2014 to 5 felony counts, receiving a 20-year sentence, backdated to 2013. Boogie was released in July of 2019 after serving 35% of his sentence under good time rules for state inmates. Boogie was also serving 8 years for manslaughter from a 2008 conviction. The early release would put Boogie back on the streets, where he would be driving a red Chevrolet Avalanche at about 5:37 p.m. on January the 1st of 2020. Surveillance from a strip mall would capture the occupant of a white Chevrolet Colorado truck opening fire on Boogie, who would then drive into a utility pole.
The man killed at Louisiana and South Claiborne on New Year's Day is identified by a source as a member of the 3NG gang.
As Natasha Robin reports, the murder victim was part of a state racketeering indictment back in 2013.
Crews install new utility poles at the corner of Louisiana and South Claiborne after a New Year's Day murder unfolded at the busy intersection. At 5:30 Wednesday evening, police say they responded to a car crash when they found downed utility poles, a wrecked truck, and a murder victim inside the vehicle. A source tells Fox 8 the murder victim was 45-year-old Christopher Boogie McCann. Investigators say McCann was a member of the violent 3NG gang that operated in Central City.
The 3NG is one of these neighborhood groups that and they operate in an area that you might as well put gravestones all around that block.
Police believe the gang was tied to a mass shooting that unfolded on the very same corner in 2018.
You had an incident. This shows how terrorizing these groups can be. And there were 10 people shot, 3 dead, and no one has informed the law enforcement about what happened.
LSU health criminologist Dr. Peter Scharf says 3NG was named for its original stomping grounds at 3rd and Galvez, and some say members terrorized the area.
They like to get credit for the mayhem they cluster. The other thing is they go in and out of the court system like like nothing, like liquid nitrogen.
McCann was one of 18 defendants indicted back in 2013 on state gang racketeering charges. The suspected 3NG gang was blamed for 10 murders, including toddler Kiara Holmes and rapper Renata Magnolia Shorty Lowe in 2011. McCann pleaded guilty in 2014 to 5 felony counts under that state racketeering indictment and received a 20-year sentence.
If he was in jail, he would not be dead now in all probability.
Still, Scharf says it's unclear what exactly happened that led to McCann's murder.
These are hits. They're calculated. They're economically driven often. And whether McCann fits into that category, we have to let the investigators do their thing.
Boogie will be taken to University Hospital where he would later die.